So let's talk about Tesla. By early 2026, the company is projected to be facing one of the most dangerous periods in its entire history. Some analysts are even calling it a disillusionment phase. And in this explainer, we're going to dive deep into that. We're looking at the massive tension between Tesla's incredibly ambitious AI future and the harsh engineering reality that's confronting them on the ground right now.
It all starts with the vision, doesn't it? This grand promise of a completely autonomous, AI-driven world. And man, it has captivated the market. It's propelled Tesla to this incredible valuation. It's a really powerful story, and it's been the engine behind so much of the company's success.
But here's the thing. What happens when that vision, the one that's built a $1.5 trillion valuation pretty much on the promise of AI, what happens when it smashes headfirst into the cold, hard, unforgiving data that's coming off the streets of Austin, Texas?
Okay, let's zoom in on Austin. This is supposed to be the big proving ground for the robotaxi. But, a very different picture is starting to emerge. The data coming out of this real-world test, it's raising some pretty serious questions about whether Tesla's whole approach is actually viable. So first off, there's this huge gap between the promise and what's actually on the road. The original plan, 500 robotaxis cruising around Austin by the end of 2025. And the number they have in service right now? Just 42. And what's even more telling is the uptime for these 42 cars. Get this, they're only in service 19% of the time. That means for a staggering 81% of the day, they're offline, down for maintenance, system failures, you name it. I mean, how can you possibly build a reliable network with that level of availability? It's impossible. And then there's this, a really critical flaw in their Pure Vision system. Austin gets rain more than 80 days a year. And when that happens, when you get some pretty common weather, the entire robotaxi service just shuts down. It completely exposes this major weakness. The camera-only system just can't meet the safety standards when rain and fog get in the way. Now, this might be the most alarming statistic of them all. Even with a human safety driver sitting right there in the car, the robotaxi's accident rate is 9 times higher than an average human driver. 9 times. Let's just look at that to make it crystal clear. Over the exact same distance, a human driver has, on average, 1 accident. The Tesla robotaxi, it has 9. That's not a little difference. We're talking an entire order of magnitude. It really puts all the safety claims into a very sharp perspective. So all these performance issues, from the tiny fleet size to the weather shutdowns to the safety numbers, they are having very real consequences. The big goal of unsupervised service has reportedly been just taken off the internal tracking systems. That suggests a potential delay of 1 to 2 years for the entire project. And these problems aren't just limited to the robotaxi. They actually stretch right over to Tesla's other huge AI bet, the Optimus robot. The whole question is kind of shifting from, hey, can it walk, to the much harder question, can it actually work? There's this common idea out there that the billions of miles of full self-driving data can just be, copied and pasted over to train the robot. But what this shows is a fundamental engineering problem. The FSD data can give Optimus eyes. It's great for recognizing objects and basic navigation, but it cannot give it hands. Driving a car down the road simply doesn't teach a robot the delicate fine motor skills it needs to, say, handle a drill. In fact, if you look at how they're collecting data for Optimus right now, it's incredibly inefficient. It's basically a human wearing a sensor suit, performing a task, and then feeding that data to the robot. It's a process that's just orders of magnitude slower than the fire hose of data they get from the car fleet. And this gets us to why those really impressive demos you see online aren't always what they seem. A lot of the robot's dexterity is based on something called path memory, and that's essentially just rote memorization. It's repeating a pre-programmed task. It's not true intelligence or the ability to adapt to a new situation, which, by the way, is the really hard problem in robotics. So faced with these huge hardware and data roadblocks in both the robotaxi and the Optimus programs, Tesla is now basically placing all of its chips on a single, massive, high-stakes bet. See, the current chip, the AI4, is hitting a wall. Its processing power is reportedly getting overwhelmed by all the visual data from extreme weather, and it just can't handle the complex data needed for fine motor skills. The promise of the next-gen AI5 chip is that it's this revolutionary leap in power and efficiency that will hopefully conquer these exact problems. And this is exactly why 2026 isn't just some random year. It's the deadline for this whole thing to come together.
The company's targeting mid-2026 to hit a key safety data milestone, and the end of 2026 is the absolute critical deadline to get that AI5 chip into mass production. The entire AI vision is basically riding on this timeline.
So this all brings us to the core takeaway from this whole reality check. No matter how ambitious the timelines are or how incredible the vision is, in the end, engineering has no shortcuts.
This quote just perfectly captures the heart of the challenge, right? In the world of AI, the sheer quantity of your data doesn't automatically solve for the quality and the complexity you need to handle that last 1% of tricky situations. Building real autonomy is one of the hardest engineering problems in human history.
Ultimately, all this sobering data from the front lines, it forces a really fundamental question about strategy. When you're faced with a 9 times higher collision rate and a complete system shutdown in the rain, should Tesla just stick to its guns on the pure vision path? Or is it time to consider a different approach, maybe one that includes technologies like LiDAR? The engineering reality of 2026 is going to provide that answer, one way or another.